Happy Tuesday. Hi, you guys. It's so good to be with you on this Tuesday, December 5th. Oh, goodness. I need to add a little Christmas cheer to my background. Um, yeah, I'll do that next time. A little ad. Hi, you guys. Hi, Shazia. Hello from Texas. Christmas must be bigger in Texas too. Hi, Adam. So good to see you. Sam. Hi, Sam. Good to see you as well. Glad you guys are here. Um, yeah, I've been a little slow this year to get decorated up for Christmas. Hi, Jenny from Tennessee. Ivy, Randy, from a yacht in international waters. Randy can't say exactly where he is because he's probably wanted in like 12 states and possibly like 3 countries. So, he has to keep it on the down low. If you guys don't know Randy McDowell, he's a wonderful, wonderful actor. Both dramatic and comedic, but he does have a wicked sense of humor. You might know Randy from the movie I Can Only Imagine. He was the keyboard player who also was the one with kind of the dry sense of humor in the band. So anyway, Becky, hi, or Beck, sorry. Hi, Beck. Hi, John. Good to see you guys. I love Holloway Nation from the OC. John, remind me where in the OC you are. Because that was my stomping ground for my literally entire life. Hi, Peter. Beautiful downtown Burbank. My office is now in Burbank, which makes me very happy. Peter, you can see Peter on a commercial that's running pretty regularly, I think, but now it's horrible. I can't remember the product. I just remember you, and you look amazing, Peter, but I just can't remember the product. So maybe remind me what that product is. But yeah, Peter plays a perfect Santa Claus, and so he's playing in a commercial that's running pretty regularly right now. Hi, Robin. Hello, Central California. John, you are Trabuco Canyon. Okay, so I grew up you'll know, no one else will know what this means, but I grew up my whole entire life in Placentia and Yorba Linda. So, yeah, I used to work down in Southward County in El Toro. And so, yeah, I totally know that world. I know your world. I know the commute on the 241, if you take that, or the 5, all those paths. So, I know of where you are. Um, yes. Okay. Hi, Emily. Good to see you. Hi, Karen. Shalom. Yes, promo on the Food Network. That's right. That's right. Yeah. So if you guys watch the Food Network, there's a commercial that where Peter plays Santa Claus, and he's great. He always looks amazing. Peter did several years ago now. Gosh, probably maybe even like 8 or 9, maybe 10. A Christmas Eve, we did a short movie for a Christmas Eve service at the church I went to then, and Peter played our grandfather, and it was a cold evening on the shores of Lake Arrowhead that he was out there with us, and ever so patient. So hi, Angela, Madison, Alabama. I don't know of Madison, Alabama. Hi, Karen, Wellington, Florida. Oh, John, you had an Italian restaurant in Brea that you owned for 17 years. Which restaurant was it? I bet I went there. It was probably amazing if you owned it. I'm sure it was great. Um, Don, hi, Kentucky. I love Kentucky. I've only been to the Lexington, Louisville area in Kentucky, but man, it's beautiful. I loved Kentucky. Had some beautiful. I was working on a film in that area, and went to there's a place in Kentucky where like the old retired racehorses go, and they keep them there, and it's just beautiful grounds. And then I was there visiting, happened upon a polo game that was happening on the grounds there. I'd never seen polo played live. It's like a ballet with horses. It's, if any of you have seen polo before, it really is. It's like a ballet, but with these huge four-legged animals that are just like dancing practically on the field. It was beautiful. I was mesmerized. It was great. Yes, Robin, he's the best Santa. Diego had coffee with someone from our community, as John says, our Holloway Nation last week. Ivy Jones, that's how it's called. Mama Lucho's. Yes, I totally know that restaurant. Totally know that restaurant. Small world, very small world. Yes, please start commenting with questions. Any questions that you have for me. And Wellington is Polo Town. Oh, it was beautiful to watch. A little hard only because they're so strong, those horses, and then they're racing towards each other, and then on a dime they stop and turn, and it was pretty incredible. So Don, you are in the middle of nowhere, 2 hours south of Louisville. Yeah, it was beautiful, man. Just the farms and the properties out there, just it was gorgeous. Angela, Madison City beside Huntsville. Okay. Oh, NASA and the FBI. Ooh. Oh, very hush hush. Jenny, where would your in-person workshop be? We don't have one scheduled, but we are trying to think about where we would go first to do that. So Diego and I'll have to put our brains together and figure that out and start to get the word out for that for next year, because we definitely want to do that. John, you're so cute. Oh, that's so fun. If you still owned it, I would be in there hanging there. We could have done our live Tuesday from John's restaurant, live remote from the Italian restaurant. Oh, that's so fun. Next time I'm in the OC, I'll have to try to remember to reach out and we could connect in person. Allegiant. I have never flown Allegiant. Is it okay? Is Allegiant a decent airlines to fly? Dawn, I would love to come. Now, Dawn, what part of Hawaii? I've been the most to the Big Island because I did a project that all my travels have to do with where I do projects. So I did a project on the Big Island. So I was there for several weeks, a couple of different times. And so that island I know the most. But of course, I've been to Oahu and Maui. I haven't been to the other islands, but Honolulu. Okay. Diego, I think we have to work an in-person workshop in Hawaii into our into our schedule for 2024. I'm just saying. Diego says done. Toronto, Canada. I have not been to Toronto, believe it or not. I have been to Vancouver and had projects up there. I've not been to Toronto. So I'll have to make it up there one of those days. Cool. Okay. Well, Robin, total write up. Exactly. Exactly. I mean, if you're going to go to Hawaii, have a really good reason. Plus, it would just be fun because I'm guessing there aren't as many that make their way out there to do workshops like that, and it would just be great. So, okay. Diego, if you have any questions from previous weeks, feel free to throw one up. And I'm gonna open our flip flops and our surfboard. Yes. Wouldn't that be great? You guys, all of us, our Tuesday night group, we'd all have a reason to go to Hawaii, and it would be a write-off for all of us, right? Education. So I say we do it. Sam's going to start working on it. I love it. Yeah, wouldn't that be great? That would be so great. So I just had my Christmas nails done today. You can't really tell, but there's like you can't see. It's like they're supposed to be candy canes, but you can't tell because it doesn't want to focus. But anyway, trust me, there's little candy canes on these fingers. So we're Laura Ann just joined Hawaii. What? I love that. Okay, question. Following on Lee Allen Stream, what are ways to improve comedic timing? I think a lot of it is you figure it out by doing. It is not something you can learn um, by reading. It's not, it's some things you can learn principles and theories and things like that by like reading a book from some of the great teachers and kind of the masters of the craft. Comedy, I think you have to do. You just have to do, and if possible, practice and work with people who are really good at it. So it's not so much about like taking any class, it's about taking a class or an improv class or um, a workshop with someone or people who are really good at comedy, not just teachers who mostly do straightforward teaching and then do comedy on the side as far as like, oh, and we'll do a comedic workshop. They just have to be really good at it because it honestly, if you Lee Allen obviously is a master at it. If you were just say you were in a class with her or she was teaching a class, um, by doing it and by understanding, you get the feel of what that timing is, of what the pacing is. You begin to train your ear. In music, there's I used to work at a university in the music department or before I was in film, and there was a class called sight singing and ear training. And I think we need the same thing for actors, not so much the sight singing, but the sight singing is all about being able to look at the page of notes and be able to see right away what the music is, what the time, the tempo is, the pacing, the notes, set sightseeing, and then ear training. You're training your ear to be able to hear the pitches correctly, to be able to hear those around you, the harmonies. That's all a matter of training. You have to train your ear and your eyes for that sight singing and ear training. I think we need the same thing as actors. The sight part of it is what is going on in the room, what's the quote unquote tempo of the scene or the room, who are you working with, who's kind of the lead or who's the primary person, or if you are, who are those people you're working off of. And then the ear training is just, it's listening. And in this case with comedy, it's listening and understanding how to move that story forward, understanding, okay, is this a scene where the pacing is very fast, in which case you need to keep up with that pacing? Or is this one where it's kind of a slow burn, a little bit more, comments to the side, you get a little zinger in here and there in a sort of a side comment. There's all, as Lee said, there's all different tools you use for comedy. So I think you have to practice it. I think you have to get in a class. I think you need to watch the greats. Go back and specifically watch with an with an ear and an eye towards learning and gleaning. I Love Lucy, Tim Conway, Don Knotts, the Carol Burnett Show, like some of those just classic actors. Melissa McCarthy, I think, is one of our current. She is so good at the very natural kind of slide a zinger in there kind of comedy. So I think you just have to immerse yourself in it and watch it with a different kind of eye than just watching to be entertained, but watching it with a studious eye and ear. Um, and get in a class if you can. I haven't been comfortable stepping into comedic roles and want to make best use of my time. Should I develop my comedy or focus on developing my strengths? I would first develop your core, what I would call like your core muscles as an actor. So I would first develop your kind of whole being as an actor. One of the things we didn't get to with Lee Allen, and we will talk about at a future session, is Lee Allen's training was Shakespeare. She was training to be basically a Shakespearean actress. So she was grounded, got an understanding of the craft. She developed her muscles, her core tools in a very, very classical kind of a training. And then from that, was able, once you have that base, then she was able to, from that, then focus on her strengths, which in her case would be comedy, one of her strengths. And so, I think anybody, you need to put the time and the investment in the core first so that you have a great base from which to springboard off of. So, yeah, Dawn, everything takes practice to be good at it. Yep. Takes a lot of practice. Let's see. When I learned about her training with Shakespeare, yeah, wow, and somehow makes sense with her delivery. It is true. That is true. She does deliver it. She said last week, "There's nothing more serious than comedy," and it's true. She delivers comedy like it's Shakespeare. She treats it with that much, like, care and importance, and precisiveness and clarity. So, yes, a lot of the big hitter actors are classically trained. And, it's interesting because the training, a lot of our British friends and actors are classically trained more regularly. It's more a prominent thing in kind of their training process than it is over here. And when you see British actors being hired to do iconic American roles, um, aside from them just being really good actors, there is a training element to that, a training in accent work that we don't often give the same emphasis to. Those are the kinds of things we should be putting more time into. We need to treat it more as a craft, not just something you kind of fell into and woke up one day. And I do get emails a lot, excuse me. I do get emails a lot from people saying, "I just really feel like God is telling me I need to work in Christian film," but they haven't necessarily been an actor, and they're just coming at it in their adulthood. Now, there's plenty of examples of people who started late in life, Morgan Freeman, and became amazing actors. So it's nothing against someone who's changing that path midway through your life or at any point in your life. But I think sometimes because of the faith element of it, of like, I feel like God's calling me to be in faith films, that takes the element of, so I don't need to do anything because God's going to do it all. And that is just not the right. I don't think that's God's intention. I don't think that's the right way to approach it. And I think you got to approach it like, okay, well then get training, get going. You don't just wake up and say, I think God's calling me to Christian film. And then like, okay, how do I get into it? What do I jump into? And I'm going to be in Christian film. You got to treat it like a craft. I think that you got to treat it with respect. You got to understand that it is a craft, and that in the same way that God has called you into it, he's also provided resources for you to learn and grow and train and do it with respect, because we have got to continue to keep the quality level of the acting in our faith films at the very highest possible bar, because you and I have heard it. That's one of the sort of gripes about Christian films is, oh, the acting's not good. Well, honestly, I think a lot of people continue to say that because they stopped watching Christian films. They haven't watched some of the films of the last several years because I think that the bar is being raised, but we got to keep it up. We got to keep it going. We can't just decide, oh, God called me to do this, so I'm just going to go be an actor. It's God put the resources in front of us, right? If God calls you to be a doctor, it doesn't mean you go down to Hoag Hospital and say, "Hi, God called me to be a doctor, and so I'm here to be a doctor." Right? You you go get the training, pray that God opens the right doors for training and the people that can mentor you and all of that. So we have to bring that same kind of mindset to the acting side of things in the faith world. Nobody in the non-faith world would expect, that you would just kind of fall into it. Now, there is exceptions to every rule. The people who are discovered down at the corner drugstore and end up with a huge career, and so there are exceptions. And if God wants to navigate your career that way, He can do whatever He sees fit. But as a rule, training is really, really important. Jenny, so the strike is over, but seems there are still very few audition. What's going on? Well, first of all, voting ended on the agreement, I think just last night at 5 p.m. So the strike was over, but they still needed to ratify the actual agreement. And that means the membership as a whole needed to vote. I had been hearing some grumblings that there was a fair amount of people who actually were not happy with the agreement. And so it could be that there was still a tentativeness about whether it really was over. And to be honest, I didn't check and see. I'm assuming it passed. I I'm would think that it passed, but it could be that those grumblings, plus this time of year is not good. You're not going to have a lot of auditions this time of year. Most people are thinking first of the year. John, right? I haven't forgotten my OC, Hoag Hospital. This time of year, people are winding down, getting ready to go off and, have Christmas, have their holidays, Hanukkah, and kind of turn to a down mode. So projects, commercials, things like that. Now, commercials might shoot more trying to get them in before the holiday break, but big projects, films, things like that, very few. Like I'm starting a film the first of the year and I'm working on it now, but we're not in audition mode until the first of the year. I'm doing like my research and lists and things like that right now, but we won't start auditioning till the first of the year. So I think it's naturally a downtime when you add on the fact that we are coming out of a strike. It's even more so. I think productions that were waiting for the strike were the strike got cleared up at a weird time. So I saw that Shazia said commercially things have been very, very busy, which is good. That's great. Yeah, all those commercials um, that, yeah, were pending. I did my first, I wouldn't say it, I wouldn't call it a commercial, but it was sort of a promotional event. I just don't usually do things like that. But yeah, they that was at a quick pace and trying to get that in before breaks. Dawn, I've heard a lot of no votes in the Atlanta area. Not sure how they'll actually vote, though. I think that's difficult because I have heard a lot of people not happy with it. But I wonder if it comes down to actually putting your vote on the page. I mean, you'd have to think about all the time that you guys were out and the strike and how long it's gone on, and it would be devastating if it went into the new year and they had to start over on those things. So I think the emphasis is being put on the fact that this is a 3-year deal and they'll go back to the table and renegotiate. It's really AI stuff that people feel the protections aren't quite there still. So, It's only a 3-year contract, only a 3-year agreement. So, I think the wisest thing to do for everybody would be to approve it and then work hard towards that next negotiation on the AI side of things. So, um, Kristen, commercially, you're slammed in Florida too. That's great because I know you guys can make some good money on commercials, and that can carry you through um, in between when there's any lulls in the theatrical side of it. So that's great. Kristen, I saw Brian Baugh. So Kristen was in a series that I did in the spring into early summer that isn't out yet. And it was called County Rescue. And Brian Baugh was the director and showrunner for that. And so Kristen and I saw Brian at ICVM a couple weeks ago in Nashville, and he showed us myself and Regina Moore, who's a casting director out of Nashville, showed us several scenes. You are so good, Kristen. We kept commenting on what a great job you did and how fluid it was. And yeah, it was super fun to watch. You guys, when that series comes out, you'll see a lot of faces. Well, several familiar faces, including Kristen's, and then I think some newcomers that maybe you haven't met before. So it's exciting to see that. Sarita, love that name. Can our Canadian agents reach out to you? Do you cast Canadian ever? Yeah, actually I do. Most times I'm working on a project. I will at least, for the breakdown, I will at least click for it to be released in Vancouver and Toronto. And hit those major. Now, a lot of times, though, the caveat is that you have to have papers to work in the US because, it's very expensive for a production to try to obtain a visa for you if you don't already have some sort of paperwork in place for that allows you to work in the US. So yes, I do cast out of Canada often, but that is typically the caveat because you can't spend 10 grand bringing an actor over if they don't have any paperwork. I know a lot of Canadians do, so it's a little bit easier, definitely easier than like Europe or the UK or something. So yeah, but if you already have papers to work in the US, then yeah, I do put breakdowns out. So yes, have them look for my breakdowns, keep an eye out, and then also they are welcome to reach out to me. Ivy, any suggestions? I keep doing this around my camera when really what I could do is just move my screen. I'm such a dork sometimes. Any suggestions for colleges that would be good to develop my acting skills? There's a lot of universities that have great acting programs. And Ivy, remind me where you are. I guess it probably wouldn't matter if you were willing to go away to college, but of course, there's all of the sort of the Ivy League types of things. But oh, she's in Charlotte. Well, Charlotte has an amazing arts university that I don't know. Oh, you'd love West Coast. Okay. I mean, there's always the um, the USCs, the UCLAs, kind of those high level schools, but there are great colleges out there, universities out there that aren't as um, well, probably not as expensive as some of those can be, especially for an out of state student. But oh gosh, there's one. Why am I not thinking of it? It's in Malibu. It's right there. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's coming out of my brain. Liberty University Theater Program. That's the East Coast. It is Liberty is really great if you want a faith um centered. Pepperdine. Thank you, Pepperdine. Pepperdine has a great program, and they're on the West Coast. Biola has a great film program, and the thing about that is they have a good theater program, but they have a great film program, so you can get some film TV experience because of those departments working together. So Biola is good. Azusa Pacific is another one that would have a faith component I mean, on some level. Um, and yeah, Pepperdine is great. Yeah, there's several. So I would say look at the comments that are here that people are bringing up, and then also Google and research some of that. Go to the Christian Casting Community page and ask that question, and maybe you'll have some people who can speak from experience as far as those choices. I know Belmont University in Tennessee um, is a great university. Obviously strong in music because they're in Nashville, but overall, a really just great arts program over there, including acting. So, okay. Do you have a good, better, best idea of virtual classes for acting or crew positions? Um, I don't, to be honest, I don't know that there's a ton of virtual classes on crew positions. I know some people specifically who have done some virtual classes, um, but I don't know on the whole. And that's interesting because that's actually something that Diego and I have talked with another person about, kind of um, creating or providing a platform for that, because I do think it's something that we could benefit from. But Christopher Kimlin is an incredibly talented DP, very talented DP. And I know that he's done some virtual workshops and teachings. Now, I don't know where to find them. You might just go to Christopher Kimlin is with a K. Christopher's with a K and Kimlin is with a K. Kimlin. Christopher has been the DP for most of the Irwin Brothers work. He's really, really excellent, very excellent. And his wife is a wonderful hair makeup um, uh, artist. She's very, very talented. So he did a great class, and anything that he teaches or offers would be very worth reviewing because he is a craftsman. He's very good. I know that who else did Joth Riggs did one on directing, and he has like a virtual class that you take. And again, that would be very worth, honestly, I think it would be worth doing even if you didn't necessarily think, oh, I'm going to go be a director, but to understand that world. So you could go to Joth, it's Joth Riggs, Riggs. And Robin is going through Joth Riggs' course right now. Yeah, see, I think if you're looking to be a director, I think it would be a great thing to do. But I also think it would be great just from an overall education of understanding the film process, understanding the director's mindset and the technical side of what they're doing. I think that just makes you also a better, more informed actor as well. But Joth is a wonderful, wonderful guy, very talented, and been in this industry a long time. So I'm guessing Robin would tell us that she's learning a lot from it. I'm thinking that's probably the case. But so yeah, go to Joth Riggs social media. I'm sure there's a link somewhere to his website. Yeah, see, Robin says yes, exclamation point. So there are, let's see, look in the comments. So Don Overstreet says try 502 film out of Louisville, a couple during the pandemic. Yeah, there are things that came out during the pandemic that still exist out there, which is great. ZAFF ZA Studio has acting Zoom classes throughout the week. I've told you about Tina Gallo. So Tina Gallo is just beginning to release a class, like a master class series um, on method acting. And so you can go to Tina Gallo's, it's Gallo, her social media pages. And I'm sure get links about that. She just is releasing, I think, the first class now. Um, Noam Kroll has a really good academy for indie filmmakers. He's LA based, but has a lot online. There you go, Josh. It's Joth Diego, Joth, not SH. But that is the link. I'm sure he'll fix that and put that back up. There we go. You're good, Diego. Joth Riggs, directingyourmovie.com. It's a great opportunity. And then Chase, I was exactly thinking that actor class with Kirk Wooler. So I did Kirk Wooler's actor class several months ago, actually, earlier in the year. And what Kirk has built there and the people he has, I would highly recommend you go to actor class. And he has brought in some craftspeople too, not just on the acting side, but so check out Kirk Wooler's actor class, and it's actor KLASS, actor class, one word. He has great stuff. So he not only you can not only do an ongoing class kind of a structure like from week to week, or he has workshops that are once a month or on a Saturday. There's lots of opportunity there. And, Kirk Wooler plays Gaius on The Chosen. He's so good. Very, very talented actor. And he made this his full-time emphasis is, not only is acting on The Chosen, but when he's not doing that, he's full bore into this education platform called Actor Class, and it's very, very good, and I would highly recommend that. Oh, hi, Tina. Yes, tinagallo.com. So you see Tina's comment. I didn't know you were with us, Tina. Love you too. So tinagallo.com. So I know she's released the first lesson, but she will have it will be a series as I understand it. So and she's a great teacher as well. So you guys look I'm going to answer that question, Diego, if you want to put that back up. But just you guys look at all of these comments so that you can see some of that as far as answers to the question, because this is what's the great part about having a community like this is that you guys can answer some of these questions better than I can, because you're coming from the things you've experienced and the things that are in your specific area, and what you're learning. So I love that you guys are giving information to each other better than I could. Okay, Chase, Mr. Giacomo, such a good actor name. If an actor submits multiple takes on a self-tape audition and books the role, should they ask about which approach to the character was most liked, or just choose and show up on set whichever approach to the character the actor likes? That's a really good question, Chase. That actually is a very good question. Um, I would if you don't have a callback. So if you just did your self tape, you did different takes and then you booked it and there was no callback process in which you talked with the director and you're going into the job without knowing that, I would ask it. I would ask, email or call, or whatever form of communication. I think that's a very good question, because otherwise clearly there was something that they liked and you don't want to assume which one it was that they preferred if they are very different from each other. If they're subtly different and you feel like you could adapt easily to whichever approach they liked, then it may not be a big deal. But if they were very different, enough so that in your preparation you would want to be able to be focused on the specific approach, then I would definitely ask that question for sure. It's a very valid question, and it's a good question. It's a very good question for sure. Um, Okay, I've been thinking of getting Botox. Do you think this will benefit or work against me for potential casting? Please don't do it. So, Botox is a little more subtle of all of the various different sort of age-defying treatments you can go for, but I say as a whole, don't do it. The whole thing that Botox does is it paralyzes your muscles, like, in your forehead and around your eyes. Well, what do you think is the most expressive part of you, right? It's your eyes. So you're paralyzing the very thing that we need to see, and we need that's one of your biggest tools. If you were to do a small amount of something like Botox, because you really were self-conscious about something and you felt like it's gonna make a difference, or if you feel like not so much that you wanna look younger than you are, but maybe you feel like you maybe look older than you are, I my gut reaction is no. My second thing is in very, very small amounts, and be very careful because this is your tool, your emotion, your eyes, all of that. I just wouldn't do it. I think once you start on that roller coaster, you really just can't get off of it. And it leads to more and more, and puts you down a path to where you honestly, you can become uncastable. And I say that because I've come across it a lot, where because I've done a good amount of westerns and period pieces. It's happened with The Chosen multiple times, where we've had actresses. It happens more with women than men. Actresses who do a self-tape, and we look at it, we think, I think there's been some work done there, but we're not sure. And then we call them in person, and it literally is like just tight. And well, I'm sorry, that doesn't work for a biblical piece. None of that works for any kinds of period pieces, even, and I say period pieces, that could be 80s, 90s, early 2000s. Like that kind of stuff just wasn't prominent until the last decade, really. I mean, maybe 10, 15 years as far as being really prominent and accessible to the average person. So what you're doing is it, you're making us unable to be able to cast you because you don't fit the time period. So I think the best thing you can do is to allow yourself to age gracefully, to embrace who you are as you age, to embrace that process. Of course, do all the things you can do to take good care of your skin, and to pay attention to that and be proactive in your skincare, the things that you can do without needles and harsh treatments. Because it does it there's people who are wonderful actors. I'm thinking of one specifically last season of The Chosen. We really wanted to cast her, and we just couldn't. We just couldn't. The facial work, the Botox, the lips are another thing, lip injections. You guys, we can tell that lip injections really are not a good thing. Just allow yourself to be natural, be who you are, be authentic, and find a way to love that, embrace that. And yeah, lip injections, Botox, all of it. I'd say a big no. Um, oh, Emily Buckner, do not do Botox by Frownies or Opsies, face patches that you wear when you're I have no idea what that is. Cool names, but I have no idea what that is. But yes, Grace Marie, embrace who you are, because I think in the long run, instead of starting a cycle of I need Botox, then as you age naturally and your skin naturally, loses some of its plumpness and elasticity, you're only going to then be compelled, I need more now, I need more. And I just think it's a cycle you can't get off of, because once you've done it, you've changed your skin forever. You've changed your face forever. Even if you don't continue to do that, if you it's definitely with full on plastic surgery, you can't often goes backwards. So just embrace who you are, embrace the time of life, embrace how God created you and the fact that God created aging. So, um, frownies are the rage for temporary day fixes. Okay, well, y'all need to look up frownies. I've never heard of them, but look them up. They apparently Tanya joined the right at the Botox spot. Yes. um, Frownies help with wrinkles. Have not used them. Laura Ann says they're all the rage and they're temporary day fixes. Yeah, I mean they're everyone uses, kind of patches that go under your eyes. You'll see that all the time with actors putting them on while they're in their makeup chair. Like I'm saying, use all those resources. Absolutely. Great skincare, invest in those tools. Those are important. Absolutely. Um, Frownies. I know the name is hysterical. I love that. Frownies. I'll have to look that up. They teach your face muscles to plump up. Okay, that's really interesting. I'm gonna have to research that. Dawn, Beverly, I have friends that have ruined their faces because they will not stop. It's true, Dawn. It's totally true. And the thing that's saddest to me about that is that's an ongoing discontent with who they are, right? They feel compelled that without those things, they aren't beautiful enough or they aren't going to get work or they're telling themselves basically lies that is what they need to be successful or accepted or whatever, and that's just not the truth. um God made us to age. That's just because man is created ways to kind of push that um, in a manufactured way does not mean that that's what we should be doing. Um, so yeah, I'll just tell you I've had many, mostly actresses, but it's happened with actors too. I have one agent who has a very well-known client, kind of an icon of the 90s, 80s, 90s, 70s, 80s, 90s. I can't cast him. He keeps pitching him for these Western movies. I can't cast him because he's had way too much work done to where he doesn't even look authentic. And I told him, like, I cannot cast your actor in a Western. They've had way too much work done. So yeah, it just doesn't work. John, does this also apply towards breast, butt, and calf implants? I, I mean, that's a little bit less obvious, if done reasonably, right? If someone wants to do if they feel like a small enhancement would make a difference or have their body feel more balanced, because I know some people don't, they feel like they just need that for balance. But anytime you do any of that to the point where it's over the top um or it's obvious, then that takes you out of things. So I think you just have to do all of that. You'd have to examine why you feel like you need those things and be very, very careful. Breast implants are probably the easiest to spot as fake. Um, and because I think oftentimes they're taken way over the top. But yeah, anything to the extreme, taken out of sort of the natural realm of the shape of a body, um, makes you uncastable in many ways. Obviously, calf implants, you could, if you're wearing pants, if there's, something where the calves aren't exposed, then we're not going to know that. But even that you can tell if it just isn't proportionate to the body. So yeah, I would just think twice. Um, Jared, what do you think of pursuing crew jobs when you're not booked just to be on I think that's the absolute best thing to do. It's if you are looking for work in between your acting gigs, there's no better place than to be on set, right? I mean, that's being on set is exactly where you want to be. So any job that gets you on set is great. When I first started casting, I was working with a specific production company, and so when they were in between jobs, it meant that I was in between jobs. I wasn't yet going out and putting myself out there as an independent casting director. I was really kind of working with this one production company. So I ended up working for a while with a audio production company that produced most of the well-known iconic preachers. So Greg Harvest, they did the Harvest, Greg Harvest, Greg Laurie, the Harvest Crusade, um, um, Tony Evans. And so by doing that job, I learned audio editing as a result of that job, which was a huge tool I've used in my work. But again, I was in a field where I was learning the technical side of some of those things, and then we also did some video stuff as well. So, and then, yeah, I worked crew positions. So absolutely, that's the best thing you could do. It's going to make you a better actor. It's going to make you a better team member, whether you're an actor or a crew person, and you're around it. Anytime you can be around it, that's absolutely the best thing. Um, Venus, this is the last. I'm supposed to wrap this up. Um, Speak to visible tattoos, gray hair for women, nose piercings. Okay, I'll say this really quick. Visible tattoos are tough. If I'm looking at two different actors and one has a visible tattoo that like creeps up onto the neck or is on the arm to where the makeup department is going to constantly have to be covering it up and touching it up, and I have a choice of someone who I don't have to deal with, I'm going to go with the one I don't have to deal with it, because that's time. Every moment that the makeup department has to deal with covering up your tattoo and then watching it, and every take, make sure it's not showing, all of that, that's time, and time is money. So they're going to shy away from using someone who has a lot of visible tattoos. So I would tell you, don't do it. Don't do anything that's going to show beyond like a short sleeve shirt kind of a tattoo. Um, yeah, I would not recommend that. I would be very careful and just understand that it translates to time and money for the makeup department to have to cover up whatever it is that you put on, unless it works with character. But again, anything that's period piece, that is just not going to work. Piercings you can take out. So anytime you can take something out and it's not visible and it doesn't leave any sort of a remnant, then yeah, that's fine. But like when they do the plugs in your ears, it makes you uncastable for a lot of things. So be very careful about those things, about those choices. Um, okay, so I've got to, um, Jared, I'll try to do some research into, sorry, I'm reading other comments. Look into maybe some resources for finding crew positions, and try to address that on another live, on another week, because I'm getting the whole let's wrap it up for, man, our time goes by so fast, so fast. I just love you guys. Great conversations. These were good conversations today, and good questions. These were good questions. And it kind of indicates to me we could spend more time talking about things like the piercings and tattoos and all that kind of stuff on a more more detailed basis. So yes, it was great. Matthew, Shazia, John, all you guys, Lauren, all of you guys, I love you. I love you. Next Tuesday, if your question didn't get answered this time, let's tackle it next Tuesday. And until then, have an amazing week. And I love you. And go do your thing. Go be amazing, because you are amazing. And yeah, that's it. See ya. Bye.